Hey everyone,
It's Chad Church,
and Nikolai Phelan.
and we are excited to bring to you our brand new podcast,
Hullabaloo. A cross-generational
media consumption podcast
where two gay men
from different generations
watch movies,
read books
listen to music, and more,
to bridge Gen X
and Gen Z. I thought that was pretty good.
Let's do another take.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is Hullabaloo. I'm Nikolai.
I'm Chad Church.
How are you, Chad? Yeah.
I'm doing all right. It's been a busy day, lots of stuff going on, and just trying to, juggle all the plates in the air.
And what plates are you currently juggling?
Just got a couple of contract deals with my day job in real estate and having to get back to people and tell people, no, you didn't get the house, or yes, you got the house, and calling my sellers saying they're willing to offer you this, regular crazy stuff. But I got a bunch of, after we're done tonight, I'll have a bunch of paperwork to do. So
Oh, no.
a bunch more paperwork to do.
Yeah.
So, but that is the life. That is what it is,
Yeah, definitely. I'm like,
Probably gonna catch me with the cigarette thing going on today a little bit because I have smoked about 2 today, and this will be like my third. I'm in the process of quitting smoking cigarettes.
yeah.
Might have to do a little fill in with some Copenhagen as well. So it'll
What's
be a
Copenhagen?
Copenhagen is snuff, like tobacco
Snuff?
snuff. Yeah, it's a chewing snuff. It's what I used to do. That's why I didn't smoke until I was 38, because I did snuff.
I don't even know. So what does that mean? You like snort it?
No, I mean there is snuff that you snort, and then there is the tobacco, and that's like old ladies in the South used to do that a lot. But
They used to
uh,
snort tobacco?
oh yeah, oh yeah,
What with
absolutely.
what?
They just, put it in there on their hand or whatever, or have a little spoon thing and snort a little, I think actually, like Dr. Rumney's, I think there's a little hole in the side of the little tin, and I think you just kind of pick it out and put it right here and like that. But
Okay.
this is snuff. This is like chewing tobacco snuff.
Okay.
And
So it's
so
like
it's different.
dip?
Yes, dip.
Okay, it's dip. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Got
So
it.
that, if the cigarette thing gets a little hard on me, I may end up going to switch into the dip, so you'll find out exactly how crude I really am.
Okay, so I have like my little micro needler and I've been micro needling. But you know
Uh-uh.
what's crazy about this is I wanted to show you and do a demonstration for the podcast. When I do it, almost every time I can get it will cause me, okay, I'll show you. Let's see if it works. I'm praying. Come on, watch. Let's see. Demonstration time.
What,
It didn't work. It didn't work. Okay,
what are you trying to achieve?
the thing is this. When I do this, like if I like the first time that I roll my face every day, I sneeze. And I'm like, what type of like chi energy is being released such that when I'm microneedling my forehead, I'm going achoo, achoo, and it feels like a hack for like infinite orgasms because I'm just
Huh?
like I can just like roll my face and sneeze. And
And is
I'm
the result, I notice you're doing it along your hairline.
I do it on my forehead and hairline, yeah, for sure. It's like
What is what is the result meant to do?
it like activates like collagen because it cuts your skin in like a very small microfibers that causes it to kind of wake up. And then also if you use like serums and stuff, I try to be careful around my eyes, but yeah, it can help your like serums absorb deeper. So if you use like minoxidil like I do, then you can use like the minoxidil goes deep.
Okay, okay, because I've being somebody with a hair issue, I have done the micro needling too since I got back from Turkey a little bit.
Really? Has it helped?
I don't know. I feel like, I
Aren't
don't
you
know.
supposed to get PRP? Are you gonna get PRP?
Is that the like stuff some stuff
It's kind of like they take your blood and then they put it
yeah.
in a centrifuge and then they inject into your forehead.
Yeah, yeah, that was an option that they offered me on the front end. And then I was like, well, let's just see what we got going. You've been doing this forever, so this is a new thing. Why don't we see what the old thing looks like? And then when I come back for my next 5,000 uh
It
implants,
was
graft.
5,000?
Yeah.
I thought you said it cost 1,400.
No, 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 no. 5,000 implants,
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Okay, so you're gonna
so
come back for more? You gotta come back and get it again?
I mean, I'm not gonna roll around with, oh, he did a great job. It looks like he's just got thinning hair now. You know what I mean? Like that's not kind of the plan, So I'll go back.
You're like they're like, congratulations. Instead of looking bald, you can look like you're about to be bald.
Yeah,
Baldness
exactly.
is on the horizon. They're like,
Yeah.
we could take you from being bald to looking like baldness is right there. Is
Yeah, yeah.
like
Coming right around the corner for you, you know?
future victim of baldness. We could we could take you from balding victim to future victim of baldness.
Exactly, exactly. So I'll go back and I'll have them do that. And we said they were like, we'll fill all that in. And then I think that when they do the other 5,000,
Yeah,
it, it'll I don't think it's not gonna look I'm not gonna look like, I don't know, whoever has a lot of hair, but it'll be a full head of hair, which will be nice.
right.
And that's when I'll do that stem cell stuff at that point, and hopefully that'll like even give it more,
Like, yeah,
gravitas.
totally. Yeah, I think I might get PRP. I might get it. Yeah, so today I've been like my energy was kind of depressed, but it wasn't like depressed in like oh I'm so sad kind of way. It was just like almost like it was like almost like melancholic or bored or like a sort of ennui. I don't know. Like I just wasn't like jazzed for life. Like I went to the gym, I went to my job, I did the things. But what was so weird about it is I did all of the things that I'm supposed to. I woke up this morning, I woke up earlier than I normally wake up, and I've been on like a demonic time schedule where I've been sleeping till like 2 p.m. every day, and I woke up at 11 a.m. or something, or 10 or something, which was good for me because I was trapped in like demon time for so long. And then
Mm.
I went to the cafe, I got myself a coffee, I took my journal, I did my morning pages, I wrote all of these notes down. Then I went home, I meditated, I prepared to go to work, I cleaned my room. I tried to hang some of the paintings as we've been trying to decorate the apartment. As you can see from the naked lithograph behind me,
Yeah.
which very well may fall on my face someday, though I'm gonna knock on wood because I'm like, I don't even know if these command hooks are strong enough to hold this stuff. We tried to hang up like a TV and we drove through the wall.
Wow, wow. Well,
Ye-
this is what I'm a little, with my ultimate relocation here, something that I'm thinking about is, wow, isn't that going to be interesting with these really truly plastered walls? Because
It's
you're,
hard to hang shit.
yeah,
And so,
yeah,
and I texted my dad because my dad's he's like a maintenance man. And so we worked with drywall a lot when I was assisting him with maintenance when I was like, 21 or whatever.
mhm,
And I was like, is there any way to mount this TV on this wall that's like, I don't know how it's like, I would say the wall is like genuinely like that thick. And we tried to use the wood screws or whatever, but it was just like it wasn't like it didn't seem to be working. And I don't know if you have to like put caulk or some type of glue to like put the screw and then fill it with glue to fill in the gap. I've never done that before, so I was just kind of waiting for his guidance. But Kate's just like, well, just let's just put the TV on the
create,
media. Yeah, the media credenza. But I hate that because I think it's ugly and we don't have that much space in the apartment.
mhm,
And I'm like, we could have like speakers there, we could have art there, we could have things there. And instead we have all of this empty wall space. Like it's the largest gap of wall space in the apartment is there. And it seems like the TV should go there, you know?
I, I, I feel you. Like I said, I have no idea what it's gonna look like when I get to the walls in Italy, but that's the deal. There's a way because people hang pictures. It's just there's
Yeah.
something gotta
There's
talk
a
to.
trick. There's always a trick to everything. So it's kind of
Mhm.
just like finding the solutions and it's the work in progress aspect of it is okay. Like we're slowly getting to see the floor, getting everything off, like having a bunch of paintings and pictures on the floor is hell. You're
Yeah,
like, it's all supposed to be hung up and you're like trying to figure it out. I need to get frames for my movie posters because I'm like, once we have the frames for the movie posters, then it'll be like we can just get them on the fucking wall, you know?
yeah,
But
yeah.
right now it's just it's a work in progress. I think where I was maybe feeling like kind of depressed today was like I've been on this vibe lately that's been very positive and energized and I was like very grateful and very like happy and very like you know and I think it was just like a stale day. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like I sent out a lot of emails, didn't receive any replies. I followed up on things, nothing came through. Is this like it was just kind of like there was no like my maybe my ADHD brain needed the dopamine of something to come through and be like, ta-da! I needed like one ding 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 of a bell somewhere and I wasn't
Yeah.
getting it. And so I was just like a sad dog.
Well,
Mm.
you just keep on trudging through, and at least you've been on a positive, vibe mode, whereas plenty of people are not even there.
Right.
Plenty of people are just like, life sucks. I go through it every day, and this is where it is, and that's it. That's why there's so many assholes driving down the road anymore.
Yeah, because you can totally detach. I think that one of the things that I've always been intrinsically aware of, or at least since I was 20, like two or something, was that I could become the driver in my life,
Hmm.
right? When I was younger, I was being driven. That I didn't know that I had that sense of agency. And I think one of the first ways that I kind of took that agency for myself was when I was like 20, I told myself I was going to read 50 books in 1 year, right? And I did it. And it was this really proud moment for myself where I said, "Oh wow, I did the thing that I said I was going to do."
Hmm.
And that that was something that every year I would find challenges for myself and that's how I created a kind of a self-esteem for myself, a kind of confidence for myself was that the promises I made to myself I kept. And I think there's a lot of people who I have people in my life who I don't think they get it, where I'm like like I had a friend, right, who I love, and he's been going through a little bit of a tough time, and he has like a spending problem, right? And I was like pointing out to him that like, okay, he was like, and he needed to get a new job, and he was like struggling with like deciding like what to do and etc. And we got on the phone and we talked about it. And when I was talking to him about it, like one of the things that I mentioned was like, you know, you need to express that gratitude and kind of like maybe not necessarily remorse for the things you made mistakes on, but you have to recognize the mistakes. And for me as like a kind of spiritual person, I like speak it to the universe. I'm like,
Mm,
this is what I did wrong. This is what I'm going to do different. And that's what manifests, I think, things towards you. That's what opens the doors and creates the kind of fundamental shift. And it's like whether that comes from the self and it's on a subconscious level and suddenly your eyes are seeing opportunities because you trust yourself to do things differently,
mhm,
or if it's something that's, more metaphysical and it's, the muse is bringing you opportunity because they have their arms crossed going like, have you learned your lesson? I don't know. I don't know. I don't need to know. I'm
mhm,
comfortable with the unknown in that regard, but I firmly believe that we have to not only do we have to learn the mistakes that we made, but then we have to set ourselves up and prove that we're going to demonstrate change.
mhm.
And that's the putting yourself in the driver's seat, you know? Because like you said, there's so many people who are just kind of going about their days. And when you're going about your days, like who's driving? That's what you need to ask yourself. Is it your is it your child? Is it your shadow? Is it your desires? Is it your fear? Is it your trauma?
Mhm,
It's like when you're if you don't know that you have to be in control and aren't able to distinguish when you're exacting a kind of agency over your life, then what ends up happening is you can find yourself in the passenger seat and you're just sitting there going, I guess we're going this way. But it's
yeah,
crazy for me, for friends that I have that are like that, to discover that they're not driving their life, and it's a scary thing to be with them because you can't trust them, because then suddenly if you're in the back seat with them, you look over and you're like, why are you in the passenger seat? Who the f- is at the wheel? It's
yeah.
crazy because then you're just like, shoot, your mess is my mess.
Well,
Your
it's interesting though that you take this subject on because, as you know, I've been listening to my Abraham Hicks stuff. She talks about it from the perspective that we try to drive too much. And and she uses this example of like if you're wanting to manifest and stuff and you're wanting your life to kind of come together the way you desire. She's like, well, all the work is done. And when you ask the universe, provides it. Then it's in like emotional or rather vibrational escrow. And then she says, so, but people always, work really, we've been taught to work at it, work at it, work at it, drive, in other words. And she says, you've got to imagine yourself in a canoe and you're going upriver with this, paddle, trying, and that, the manifestation and the vibe is going downriver, and it's much easier to go downriver with the flow. I'm not quite sure that I'm signed on to that fully yet, but just two very different concepts of how to work at things. As a human trying to manage that for us, like is the drive right? Is the flow right? Is you know what I mean?
It's gotta be both, right? And I think what I would say though is that I think like what she's saying is correct. You do have to surrender. Surrender is the key to, in my opinion, to everything. When
Mhm.
you have to recognize where you don't have control. Wanting
Uh-huh.
to exert control over things that you have no control over, to me would be the swimming upriver, being like, I need to keep coming. It's like definitely not that. But I also think that there's a lot of people who are completely passive in their life and they believe that if they just want the thing, it's enough and it'll come to them. And
Mhm.
I'm watching in real time, it's not happening. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I know why. And it's like, you're like, oh, you have to raise your vibration. Let me tell you how to raise your vibration, sweetie. It's not just sitting in a room and being like, I have a good vibe. It's like being it, living it, being about that life,
Yep.
being about that life, owning your shit,
Yep.
taking on responsibility, being a good person. When you make mistakes, reflecting on that. You want to raise your vibration. These are all active things. And I think a lot of people, I see them kind of just get stuck on the manifestation part because that's the part that's about the wanting. My
Yeah.
dreams will come true. I want it. I got it. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, babe, it's like totally. But how about everything else? Who are you? How are you? What are you doing in your day to day? Show me your day to day, and I'll be able to, we can have let's do a vibration check, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Because w- I don't believe, like, I understand what Abraham Hicks is speaking to, but also she's like, her whole thing is like, her role in existence is to engage with people, but she's also like she's a vessel, right? Like that's her thing. She's this like conduit for voice.
Yes.
But if you're somebody whose role in life is about doing, not just channeling, it is a different thing.
Yep.
And I think that the stuff that we can't control, like the love or the finding love or finding the perfect job, like it's you still have to be connected enough to know how much work you need to do. Like, is this something that I have to show up for? You go, oh, the perfect job is just going to come to me. If you're not really sending out resumes, babes, or even looking at it, do you really think that your act are aligned with that future? You
Right.
can't
Right.
you can't win the lottery if you're not buying a ticket, babes.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Get in the room. Get in
Yeah.
the room.
Yeah. You go.
It's like surrender to the things you can't control. Stop trying to control people. Stop trying to force the man to love you. Stop lighting candles, me speaking to my 21-year-old self, to make men fall in love. It's like surrender that stuff.
Yep.
But
Yep.
the things that you are supposed to take like agency over, which is your morality, the way that you're operating in the world, the obligations that you gave to others, the way that you are building your life and building yourself, don't surrender that. Don't just be like someone else is going to do it. That's you. That's on you. And it is a wonderful art project that is your entire life.
Amen. Every one of us.
Literally, that's my perspective. So people can
Here. No. I'm
fight in the
down with that.
comments.
I'm down with that. Well, somebody who was in the room we're going to talk about today, right?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it. So for the piece of media that we consumed this week is
It is a Beach Boys album. It is known to be Rolling Stones' second best album ever
I think
made?
so.
I think
Yeah.
so.
And it's also listed on like Pitchfork and yeah, it's one of the like their 10 of 10s.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And it's Pet Sounds.
Pet Sounds. Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys.
Well, do you want to start it off and I'll kind
No,
of
no, no. I'll let you lead this one and I'll jump in.
really
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, so in our process, we both come up with, different artistic elements of things that we decide to explore, whether it is, music or film or books. And this one, and, I might throw something out there, Nico might throw something out there, and then we go, oh, yeah, that sounds fun, and we go with it. So this was actually something that Nico had come up with, and it very timely because Brian Phillips just
Brian Wilson.
died. I'm sorry, I'm thinking Wilson Phillips and so
Yeah,
forth.
yeah, yeah.
But Brian Wilson just recently passed away. Um, where I think people kind of probably thought he was going to pass away a lot earlier than now. And so the timing works for a review of this particular album, which he was the producer of. And it was his brainchild. The accolades on it are absolutely stupendous, out of this world. Everybody talks very highly of this. I have known the Beach Boys, my whole life, and they just, for me, it was always good, fun feeling music, 1960s, the world, and, Ventura, California, and the middle class and so forth is wonderful. And, la la la, let's sing about surfing. That's kind of was my take of the Beach Boys up until this point where I was able to become a little more engaged with their story. And for this particular album, I found it interesting that Brian had been touring with the rest of the band members, and apparently he had a little bit of a fear of flying, and then there's some mental illness stuff that was, that plagued him, and he decided that he did not want to go on tour in 1966 with these guys. And the rest of the band went, and he said, when you guys come back, I'll have been in the studio and I'll have created, something that we can all really get on to and will, be a masterpiece. And lo and behold, many in the world believe that that is what he created in Pet Sounds. You want to go along with
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. So the thing that's interesting about Pet Sounds, I think, is that as an album, it so for example, one of its maybe most important accolades is that it inspired Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts, right? And so the Beach Boys and the Beatles, which I didn't know this before we were reviewing this, were in a friendly rivalry. And so Pet Sounds forced the Beatles to rethink and advance their own artistry because it was so innovative. And the reason it was innovative was there were a multitude of things. So first off, Brian Wilson used a lot of session musicians. So he had these like elite session musicians from California come in and play certain instrumental parts in addition to the rest of the band members singing. And then he also used a tape machine and recorded on 4-track and 8-track to create this very, very layered and orchestral and very big sound, right? Like it's an incredibly lush sounding album. When you listen to the songs, there is like it's almost like a forest of music where there's little details, there's little things that feel like they're sitting in the kind of sonic space in the distance that we're used to. Me and you, Chad, we're used to this. We know about this. This isn't new to us. However, it was new then. And I think that's like a really big part of why it receives a lot of accolade is that kind of big sound, the 4-track, 8-track sound, which I think eventually it would become like 72 tracks or something. It'd get really crazy to create the kind of wall of sounds that would eventually take over in production suites, like later, especially in like the early 2000s and also late 90s. But I think that and also like Radiohead did that too, but I digress. The point is, in addition to that, I think this was Brian Wilson's last like album with the Beach Boys. So he would ultimately leave the Beach Boys because he obviously was dealing with a lot of mental like health issues and there's a lot of infighting in the band. And so that kind of infighting created like a lot of tension. But this album represents this huge departure from the original Beach Boys sound. When I knew that it was like a masterpiece, right? And I'd listened to I have a very fond memory of the first time I listened to Pet Sounds, and I was walking from the beach of Barcelona to my apartment. This was 2 years ago, and I walked the whole distance listening to the album, and it was just so beautiful, and it was very cohesive. Like I knew some of the songs, but I didn't think about each song. I just experienced it as this kind of dreamy whole. Dreamy whole. As this
However
dreamy
you see
whole.
it.
As this dreamy, like, musical entity, we'll say. But ultimately, like, what I realized this time around when we revisited it was that a lot of the Beach Boys songs that I thought would be on there, like Kokomo, Surfing Safari, Fun, none of those are on there. It's God Only Knows, it's Caroline No. It's all of the emotional music. And it's a really deep album and it's very sweet. And I think for me, like the reason I always liked the Beach Boys is the Beach Boys was taught to me by my father as music to make you feel good. He was like, I listened to the Beach Boys and I remember what joy is. And I think because of as a child to know that that was available to me, and I grew up in Arizona, so it was the sound of California, which was the sound of our vacations. So that was joy for us. Like for my family, we didn't really have bad vacations. We didn't like fight on vacation. Vacation was very fun. And it was when we saw the ocean. And so I think I just have like a lot of like nostalgia attached to it. But even still, like re-listening to it, I still think that it's a very cohesive album. And when I was doing research on it, that was something that was really unique at the time. Albums were collections of songs before, right? It was the fact that they were together was almost a kind of anomaly. It was just it was just a happenstance. We have to bring them together, one, two, three, four, right? But because Brian Wilson was super classically motivated, and he even used his counterpoint in some of the tracks. Like I think I have it written down somewhere. So, um, like, duh, 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 wouldn't it be nice? And you still believe in me, and God only knows. So all of those tracks, he uses counterpoint, which is very like a classical music motif that's used to create a more complex sound. And so it is a cohesive album. And that was something else that inspired a lot of artists, was that it was an album. And you could create an album artist out of this idea like the novel or the movie, right? Where you're handing people like a chunk of something and being like, sink your teeth into this, kid. And that's really what he did. And so
Well,
I
and
I liked it.
that's one of the things that, I have to admit that I didn't get upon the first, kind of review of this. We have grown up, I'm like, well, how many hit singles are on that album? That's my impression of like a great album is everything on it, everybody loves, they've all gone to number one. And
Yeah.
so I wasn't looking at it from that perspective of that continuity, from piece to piece, and that I have come to appreciate more in having this experience now is and will look out for more readily in the future. And that's just kind of self admission of, it wasn't on my radar, not on my bingo card.
Hmm.
But I did still, though, for me, I am still driven by by an album. I want to hear as many great songs as I think are on there when I'm listening to it. And I think one of the things that, you hit on briefly is that the initial that happy Beach Boys, surfing sun kind of thing. kind of matriculated to this more emotional and this more emotional depth in this time that he spent doing, building this album. And there's just all kinds of interesting stuff uh, to kind of grab onto here, like the fact that a lot of that music, as it was performed in the studio too, it was performed together. It wasn't on the track. So there was this blending that you probably never get now or seldom get now, because you had, Joni, the uh, I don't know, the pianist, and Tom, the hornist, and Tim, the drummer, all working together at that same time. And I think what's given me respect about him is that he understood, as he was directing them and producing this, that these sounds would work together. And then he had this whole other layer of the tape machine, where they could be taking what was created and laying like another layer on top of that, as a guy that was deaf in one ear.
Straight up. The deaf in one ear part's really interesting because the album is also was originally mixed in mono, which I haven't checked to see if, because I listened to it on Spotify, but I don't know that there's the original mono mix and there's a stereo mix, and I don't know if I listened to the original mono mix or stereo mix, but he mixed it in mono. And he mixed it in mono because he felt that stereo was a gimmick, which is very, even if you don't agree with it, that's authorship, right?
Mm.
That's an author. It's a tour. It's somebody making a distinct creative decision at risk of it failing because they have a vision.
Mhm.
And that's like something that I found to be really impressive. And the music is what I find so interesting about the album also is that you can't remove it from the happy stuff. It's the necessary conclusion to the stroke of reality hitting the happy stuff. Like, it's almost like even if they were singing about one thing but experiencing something else, it was almost like their life had a delay. So, like, whatever they were living in was like 2 years behind in music. And then eventually it caught up. And when it caught up, what was it? It was this existential loneliness, was like there's that one song, God Only Knows. It's so beautiful. But in the song, he's basically saying, like, you'll be fine without me, but God knows what I'll do without you because you're too good for me. That's like not a typical song that was being written in that era. I mean, we can talk about Joni Mitchell. She definitely was like writing stuff that was kind of in like a similar emotional depth and vein. We could talk about Nina Simone. She was also doing it. But these are heavy hitters, right? These are people who made music that stood the test of time and matter, like, in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or just the Hall of Fame in general of artists. And so to see that and to see it in contrast with Fun, Fun, Fun or Surfing Safari or Kokomo, which I love these songs so much. I love them. And I also just want to say part of why I love the Beach Boys so much is they were straight boys who sang very sweetly about love and girls. And it was in a falsetto. So there was something about it that I guess as a queer man, that sentiment of love felt so much more real to me and I was able to feel connected to than, you know, songs about like fucking pussy or something, which, love that, here for it too, but it hits different. It's like, it's aesthetic music. It's music for a vibe. It's not something I can find myself in. And I could find myself in these songs. And I appreciated the bravery that it would take to go there as an artist.
Well, and it's interesting because I think the band initially didn't. And even, the music industry wasn't clear on what this was all about up front, right? Uh,
Right.
And I think it's nice that they think what this album does is it really just shows how they matured. And the other interesting thing is, all of their vocals came after when they
Right,
came back off of tour. So
right.
you're absolutely right. It's kind of this like benchmark place where they change things, so much forever. And I believe even the father was relieved of his engagement in their music with this album, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
They're,
So
they're
was it Wilson's father? I can look it up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He apparently was not exactly the funnest guy in you know, in town either, but he was, had worked on a lot of the management of this
Yeah.
for a
So
long.
okay, so Brian Wilson's father, Murray Wilson, was deeply involved in the early career of the Beach Boys, but by the time Pet Sounds was created, his world changed, and his relationship with Brian had become strained. He was a frustrated musician and songwriter himself, and he served as the manager of the Beach Boys, but he was abusive and controlling towards Brian. That's sad.
Yeah, and I guess not just Brian, but it really though Brian got the brunt of it is what it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy because he was emotionally abusive and overbearing to Brian, and he often belittled him. And it's interesting, and I guess it's affirming because obviously some of the things that that I've been dealing with in my personal life we can't talk about on the pod. It's affirming to see that even Brian Wilson as a musical genius was like being belittled and put down. And that's not affirming like in the sense that that's good, but it is to say that people putting you down and making you small has nothing to do with your whether it's true or not. They're gonna find whatever they can find and latch onto, you know? And
Hmm.
it's just intimidation.
Well,
And
there's
it's
that.
sad.
Go ahead.
But no, I don't. What were you gonna say? I apologize. We both spoke at the same time.
Well, there's that whole concept of that, I mean, even if we make it absurd, like, Whitney Houston and the greatest love of all, and so forth. But, you have to, people will say what they're gonna say. And I mean, this is something, very, I think part of the queer community is that people are going to say what they're going to say, and half of our lives we spend trying to you know do I fit in, do I not fit in, can I get in, should I be in, um over people's judgment and wanting you to not do you, boo, but wanting
Yeah.
you to do them.
To
And
do them.
you
This
know
is it.
you
This
can't
is
be
it.
you doing them.
Exactly. And also it's like it's the thing that's hardest about it. So for example, in my situation that I'd experienced, it was like a lot of the credence I'd given to aspects of it was because there was places where I'd had insecurity or places where I'd felt some level of potential inadequacy that either they had purposely latched onto or it was a perfect match. And they just were able to lean on that and push on that. And I allowed myself to be controlled there. And then eventually it's like I changed and I did more things, but then I didn't realize that in that process, I hadn't relieved myself or freed myself of those previous hangups. Because
Mhm.
it's like when you change and you accomplish and you do and you learn and you grow, you also have to look back at the ways that you are holding yourself back from being free. And then you gotta go over there and be like, we always hold the skeleton key, and you have to say, where am I not free? Right?
Mhm.
And you gotta open that cage door. You gotta let yourself fly, girl. You gotta get out there and spread those wings, queen.
There won't be an OnlyFans for me.
Yeah, you gotta get out there and shake that ass, Chad. They want that big ass.
Yeah, that that's gonna have to be more of a, I don't know, that a not happening thing.
Yeah,
But no, honestly, being who you are and being proud of that, because that's what allowed him to create this, epic of musical love from everybody, because everybody
right,
went to it. I mean, Paul McCartney was over there visiting, going like, "Hey, how did you do that?" I mean, like there was a lot of like that people recognized that this was genius. And that's
right.
what I didn't know was so significant about this album. And I'm glad to have gone through this experience to understand that now, because to me, it would have been just like, oh, that's another Beach Boys album. They've got this many songs that went to the top 10 and this many that I could have not, either way about. And then, but I would have looked at, any of the other albums that way as well. So there's a really, really nice learning experience around that.
Totally, totally. Well, um, I think this was an amazing episode. How do you feel?
I feel good about it. I really do. It
Let's
was,
wait. We should give our reviews of the album, right? I think we should do that before
yes.
we go. Sorry, I was like, and we're done. And I slammed the dish. And goodbye, chat.
Yeah,
Hanging
yeah,
up.
right. My review, I have to look at this in quite a different way than I have other albums that I've enjoyed musically because of the backstory to it. So, initially I was like, all right, that's so cool. That's cool. I like, 3 songs on there, God only know the usual suspects, the sailing song, but and for that, going into this, I would have had, my personal evaluation would have been less. And one of the things that I had to figure out and understand for myself in this was, what is all of the hullabaloo about? Like
Right.
what?
Straight up.
Yeah. And after doing that, I find that I'm pretty critical. Even knowing all of this information now, I'm gonna go ahead. Like I don't know. I don't know how many albums are out there to say it's number 2 in the world, best album ever done. But I'm gonna go ahead and say that if I'm on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm gonna give it an 8, and I'm gonna do that. A lot of that is gonna be on what I understand about it now
Right.
versus how I would have looked at it simply from, do I like this piece? Do I like that piece? Do I like this piece? Do I like that piece? And that gives
Totally.
me the ability for some other albums to go a little deeper in the future. I think I'll probably have a more fulsome experience and opinion around them, because this has set the stage for how I'm going to have to look at everything. But I'll tell you, it's not always going to be like, oh, and she was just incredible because it was the first to ever
I
wear
love that you
shoes.
could do that with your eyes. It's so great. I've never seen you do that before. Do it again.
What did I do?
You went like, I don't know. Wait, let me try. Did I do it? Was it cute? Like, you were like,
Okay,
oh,
like
she's just. Wait, was it good? Okay, tell me if it's funny. I can't see myself. Okay.
well, that's like the, oh my God, I've just had too much sex look, right? Is that
Really?
what, is that right? Oh my God, my eyes are rolling up in my head.
Oh my God, no. I'm like, wow, I love that. I need to do that more. I'm like, I can do this. I can do this. Watch, ready? Okay. I can make one eye go straight and then I can make the other one go the other direction. I learned this in high school. Watch it here. Ready? Here you go. Here, you look at the nose, and you look up. There you go straight, and then you
Oh, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Is that crazy? What's that about? Is it good? Am I doing it?
You're starting to look like, who was that woman over there at the White House forever that was the press secretary?
What'd you say? Oh
I
yeah, I remember Sarah Huckabee.
Yeah, Sarah Huckabee's got that buckeye, is what I believe they call
Oh
it.
yeah, they call it a fuck guy. I'm fuck guy. Me and my fuck guy. Yeah, this is the I get fucked on.
All right.
Okay,
So I
here's
am
my review.
yeah, I am a an 8 out of 10, and enjoyable, um for the reasons I just noted.
Okay, so for me, I'm gonna give it a 9.2 out of 10. Obviously, this is peppered, touched by my nostalgic childhood. I do actually like a lot of the other Beach Boys songs maybe more because I think it's just the energy I'm in. I'm ready for love. I'm ready to be loved. I'm ready to love and be loved in return. Moulin Rouge, which I only saw one time, but they say that so many times in the movie that it just stays with you. They're like, the greatest thing is to love and be loved in return. Moulin Rouge. It's like, geez Louise, pipe down. I'm like, I saw this movie one time. Why do I know this? Like, why am I quoting this in my sleep? I'm like waking up in the middle, like, the greatest thing is to love and be loved every time. Okay, Bachelor, it worked. It worked. You got me. But
That's funny.
overall, my feeling of Pet Sounds is it's great. It's a really great album. It's a lovely walk if you want to have something for a walk. If you like the Beach Boys, it's gonna do, it's very special. I love a masterpiece. I love a masterpiece. I like to know why a masterpiece is a masterpiece. I want the story behind it. I love a complicated, messy masterpiece where there was infighting and drama and the apocalypse nows of cinema. And so I love the story and I love the music. I would recommend it for anyone. Do I think it's the greatest album of all time? I don't know what the greatest album of all time is. I don't even know how to rank that. I can see because of how much innovation it was doing, why they might want to rank it that way because they're like, yeah, it inspired the Beatles. And they're oftentimes considered one of the greatest artists of all time, never not making the top 10 list. So that's a pretty heavy crown. That's a pretty significant push. And Sgt. Pepper's is a crazy album. So to think that the Beatles were like driving along the road and then they were like Sgt. Pepper's, like it was like time to do some crazy wild stuff because they got inspired. I think that that's significant. And I love that he used tape machines because there's a lot of artists who are still experimenting with tape machines now. And Kate Bush experimented with tape machines in the 70s, and she did some crazy stuff with them, including Sing Backwards, which we'll talk about at another time on a different episode. That being said, I give it a 9.2, and this was a great episode. And as always, I love you, Chad.
I love you, Nico.
Thanks.
And so, with that, giving you an idea what we've got coming up next for our different media, we will be reviewing Tokyo Story
Jonathan Siegel,
and the lovely Kathy Griffin,
Griffin.
whom
Yes,
I
Kathy
always
Griffin.
call Kathy Lee Griffin, but
But this is all in no apparent order, okay?
Mhm.
So it's coming up. It's coming soon. Get excited. And yeah, it'll be a surprise next week.
For now, love you, Nico.
Love you, Chad. Hullabaloo.